War, the ancient art of making lots of noise and solving nothing. Who doesn't love it? And this one is the best example of that. Hello, mortals, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about the longest war in history. Well, maybe not the longest, but certainly up there. I'm your host, and together we are going to learn about the Midas King you never heard of and how he almost made history in quite the unique way. Now, let me explain. This story takes us back to the Arabian Peninsula, but not to Mecca or Medina. We are going to the lands of the Banu Tamim, where lived one man who actually had two names, Kleeb ibn Rabia and al-Muharram. However, people knew him better as Abu al-Khair, which means father of the white eyes. What a charming nickname. Apparently, he got it because of, well, his eyes, but also because of his soul, which was pure, innocent, and white, just like a newborn baby's, but okay, maybe not that last part. Anyway, whatever the reason, everyone loved him and called him by that name. But why, you ask? Because he was a great leader, a legendary warrior, a role model for every young Arab boy, and so much more. He was the kind of man who made other men look like they were barely circumcised, if you know what I mean. Oh, and he also had this one rule. Birds couldn't fly over his land without his permission. Yes, literally. If some bird dared to pass through his territory, its owner would have to pay a fee unless he wanted to get shot down. Quite the sight it must have been, warriors shooting down birds with arrows, except that it probably happened a lot. Okay, so imagine that you are a great ruler enjoying life, minding your business. Would you relax and chill? Well, Kleeb did. And that's when a little incident happened that turned his life upside down. One day, a camel came into his lands. And I don't mean just any camel. This one was special. Her name was Sarab and she was beautiful. You know those camels that appear in beauty pageants? Yeah, her? She belonged to an old woman called Basus, who was the leader of the rival tribe, the Bakr ibn Wahab, and she was accompanied by her nephew, Jassas, who was also her guardian. They came to negotiate a marriage alliance between their tribes, but apparently, Sarab and Kleeb got distracted by each other. At least that's what Basus said later to make herself sound important. In reality, the camel just wandered off and ended up in his territory. Whatever the reason, Kleeb found her there, looked at her, thought, nice camel, should be mine, and shot her with an arrow. To be fair, it might have been an accident, but Basus didn't think so. When she heard that, she threw herself on the ground and wailed, "Woe to me! Oh, daughter of Wallace, what a disgrace! They took my guest and my camel, and I cannot endure this humiliation." And just like that, chaos began. She gathered all the members of her tribe and told them how the mighty Kleeb, the man who wasn't supposed to be bothered, had done something unforgivable. And together they planned revenge. Now, at this point, you might be wondering what exactly was so bad about a simple old woman being insulted? Well, you see, Arab society was very different from ours. It was built around honor, respect, and dignity. That meant if you insulted someone, they had the right to defend themselves and their honor. And this included killing people. Now, don't freak out. It wasn't as common as you might think. People only used it when it was absolutely necessary. And usually they preferred to solve things peacefully. But still, you shouldn't mess with someone's honor. And in this case, Jassas, Basus's nephew, had to do something about it. He went straight to Kleeb and confronted him. They talked and debated and argued. Jassas tried to keep his cool, but he was bubbling with anger inside. While he was trying to convince Kleeb to apologize, Jassas pulled a dagger from his belt, stabbed Kleeb in the stomach, and left him to die. Kleeb fell to the ground and his bodyguards rushed to protect him, but it was too late. He had lost a lot of blood and soon he would be no more. Now, this might seem like a small thing today, but back then it was huge. Kleeb was untouchable. He was known for his wisdom, his kindness, and especially for his strength and bravery. No one had ever heard him before. So when he died, the entire tribe of Taghlib was outraged. They wanted revenge. All of them wanted to kill Jassas, except for one, his brother, Zeer Salem. Salem was a handsome guy with a long beard and mustache. He was a warrior, a poet, a storyteller, and most importantly, he was a drama king. So when he heard about Kleeb's death, instead of rushing to get revenge, he walked to his brother's body, placed his hand on it, and said dramatically by Allah, "I will not find rest until I take revenge on Kleeb's killer." Then he lifted his sword and raised it high in the air and declared, "This is my oath, and Allah shall hold me accountable if I fail to fulfill it." Everyone stared at him in silence, waiting for him to continue. "That's it, you stay here while I bring back justice." He pointed his sword towards Jassas and shouted, "Who is with me?" And as expected, everyone answered, "We are with you." So the moment had come. The war would finally begin. Now, as I mentioned, both sides had suffered enough. They just wanted to put an end to this nonsense. And honestly, everyone thought it would be easy. After all, they had fought many battles before and always won. This time, however, things would be different. Alzir led his army to Jassas' village and surrounded it. But when he wanted to attack, a voice stopped him. It was Jassas, unarmed, with his hands up, saying, "Wait, I am not afraid of you. Hit me, take my head, but let my people go." Alzir looked at him, surprised by his bravery, and asked, "Why should I?" And Jassas answered, "For my honor." Now, even though it wasn't an honorable thing to kill someone without giving them a chance, Alzir knew he couldn't free Jassas' people without taking his life first. So he accepted his challenge and attacked him. Now, I'm sure you want to know who won, but I won't tell you. Instead, I'll give you a hint. Whoever did win didn't live happily ever after. You see, the war went on for 40 years. Yes, you heard that right, 40 freaking years. Why? Well, because no one wanted to admit they were wrong. Each side thought they were right and refused to apologize or forgive. They kept fighting and dying, and their children grew up hating each other. Even the wise elders couldn't stop them. Eventually, they needed to ask for help, and the whole peninsula was affected. But despite all that, no one gave up. No one stopped to think about what would happen to their families or to their legacy. They kept going, and it seemed like nothing could stop them. However, one day, a wise man named Al-Harith ibn Ubad, who had seen the horrors of the war, offered a solution. He suggested that the tribe of Bakr would pay a fine to the family of Kleeb, and then everyone would go home happy and the war would be over. Everyone agreed except for one, Zeer Salem. He wanted revenge. And even though he was losing hope, he didn't want to give up. When he learned about the plan, he rushed to the battlefield and shouted, "Do not accept their terms. Fight." As the battle continued, Al-Harith's son joined the fight. He was brave, strong, and courageous, and the men loved him. But during the battle, he got separated from the group and ran into a trap set by Alzir's men. They beat him and left him to die. When the winner's celebration began, Al-Harith found his son's body and started crying. In that moment, he understood that the war had taken too many lives and it had to end. So he joined the other side and together they brought it to an end. So what's the lesson here? Was it all about the camel? Well, not really. The camel was just a trigger. The real problem was the pride, ego, and thirst for revenge that drove these people for 40 years. I guess sometimes we have to swallow our pride and forgive others. And I'm not saying it's easy, but if we don't, we might end up like Kleeb or Alzir. Well, now it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for your support, and as always, stay curious.